Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, and welcome back to today's Daf Hayemi Meseches NIDAH Daf Yudaled. We begin at the Mishnah, which is around 10-11 lines from the top of the Yomit. Says the Mishnah, Derech B'nais Yisrael, it is the way of Jewish women, Mishamshais, when they spend time with their husbands, Bishnei Edim, they do it with two cloths. So after they're together with their husbands, they perform a double inspection, one on his side and one on hers. Echad lo, one cloth for him, echad lo, one for her. Rashi says, L'kanech lachat hashmish, which is meant to confirm that there was no dam when they were together. That's noise. And the extra careful, meticulous women, metakne shlishi, they actually set aside a third cloth to prepare themselves beforehand. L'saken es habayis. Habayis is an expression for the isha. So before she's together with her husband, she uses the cloth to confirm that she's Torah. Now Rashi explains, based on the Gemara back on Daf Yud Aleph, that really it applies to all women. Again, we're talking women that are involved in taharis materials. So typically no bedikos are required just for being with her husband, but if she's involved in truma and kachim, and even chulin, mundane materials which were maintained in a kachim status. So for all those, Chachamim applied bedika obligations. Before, after being together, and it's noise, set aside a fresh cloth that they do not reuse from time to time. It's a fresh cloth per experience to see things, with clarity. Now, what happens if, in fact, they discover dam? It depends where. It depends how soon after their together experience. Nimtzah shaloi. If the blood was found on his cloth, well, that confirms that it was there when they were together. How else? Where else did it come from? Tmein, that confirms that they are both tamei. V'chayav and carbon, they have to bring carbon chatos, because they were together when she was already tamei. Nimtzah shaloi. If the dam was discovered in her cloth, well, it could have been there when they were together, in which case it incriminates both of them, but maybe it arrived later on, a couple of seconds later. So it depends how close, how immediate. Oisyaim, which is an expression meaning, it's a Greek word, immediately. So right after, okay, so that confirms that she was already tamei when they were together, tamein, in which case they're both tamei. So she's tamei for 7 days, and so we see, because in addition to being in contact with her NIDAH, he was actually together with her, and the halacha is that her tumah sort of transfers to him, and he's tamei for 7 straight days. They're obligated to bring carbon chatos for this inadvertent violation. Suppose she found that on her cloth after a while, so it wasn't immediately after being together, a bit later. Now we don't know what Tmein Misafik. So they're Tamei Misafik, which means to say that on his side, he's not going to be Tamei for sure for the 7 day period, because we don't know whether they were together b'tumah. And likewise, she's tamei going forward from this moment, but from the moment they were together until now, well, we don't know. It's a suffix. Upturim mina carbon, and they don't have to bring carbon chatos. Now you would think maybe an asham tali they have to bring because there's a chance that they sinned. The Mishnah here maintains there's no chiv asham tali either, and the Gemara will discuss this. So we speak about immediately or la'achar zman. How do you define la'achar zman? 5 seconds, 5 minutes. Ezo achar zman. The time it takes to leave the bed and to rinse the area, to do a bedika. So that's called time frame number 2. So number 1 is immediately after. Past that point until the time frame we just mentioned is considered zone 2, and past that point, which is zone 3, it's unrelated to their being together. Sure, she's tamei, but going forward, and not going back. But of course, with the Rabbanan, we apply a tumah called me'es leis for the previous 24 hours, me'es leis, which affects any kachim that she may have handled in the past 24H. But what about the husband? We assume the husband is safe and free. He's not affected by her tumah. No. Tumah meis covers the husband as well. And since they were together in the last little while, he's also affected by this suffix tumah, which is midrabanan. Af matamas bayla. Now, umaydim chacham Rabbi Akiva. In the following case, chacham would agree with Rabbi Akiva that it affects his status as well. But Roya Kesem, she discovers a stain whose precise time of arrival, we have no idea. We don't know when it came. Shabbatam bayla in this case. She is tummy going back for 24 hours. And not only that, the husband as well is fully tummy. He's tummy as though he was involved with a NIDAH. So this tummy d'Rabbanan affects him for the next 7 days. So again, even though where she just discovers dam on her cloth, a while after they meet together, there we say, true, there's two meis leis, but regarding husband, who was with her in the last 24 hours, he was machlekes. Chacham say he's exempt from that tumah, but when it comes to a kesem, it's different. In this case, we have a tumah, which could have come any time, the last little while. So in this case, it's considered as though he was involved with a NIDAH, since he was with her in the last 24 hours, and he becomes tummy full-fledged for 7 days. Now back to the beginning of the Mishnah. We have all these inspections, pre and post. Dam on that post Tashmish inspection tells us that she's tummy, and if it was found close enough to the experience, they're both tummy. And the question is, why? How do you know the origin of the maybe it's some sort of bug, some sort of ma'achelis, meaning a louse that would happen to be there that got squished and left a stain on the cloth. Maybe it's a dam of ma'achelis. Amar Rabbi Zeira. We don't assume there's any ma'achelis in that area. Oisa Mokam, that area of the woman, Badaku, is considered like certified ma'achelis free area. Badaku, it's like it was inspected regarding Eitzel ma'achelis. Taisa said it's a Mokam Zuam, it's unclean, and ma'achelis does not thrive in that area, so we assume there's no alternate source for that dam. There's another version to this answer. Dachaku, it's a machelis. Machelis can't find its way inside the woman. It's too tight of an area to enter. So for both reasons, we don't assume that the stain is related to a louse. Now, we gave two reasons. Any difference between the two? The difference will be like this. Let's say you have a stain in the middle of the cloth, and beside it you have a crushed louse. So you have an alternate source right there. Can you blame the entire stain on the louse or not? It depends on which approach. According to the first approach, no. There is no machelis in that area, period. So this louse must have jumped on later or came from elsewhere. According to the first shot, the area of the woman is considered machelis free, period. Hamal masoy. So you have to say that this crushed louse came from elsewhere, and the stain in the middle of the cloth is in fact dam nidah. So you can't use it as a cover story, as an alibi for the stain in the middle. But according to the second shot, that the area is too tight for the machelis to enter, so we can speculate that shamash, the aver, the zachar, ritzafa, crushed it and pushed it in. In which case, you can't attribute the entire stain to the louse, and therefore you can't confirm that they're tamei. At most, it's just a suffix. Itma continues the Gemara. She made a self-examination with an aid that was badakla. It was known to her as perfectly clean. So she did a bedika with tachsabi reicha, and on its way out, she banged that cloth into her thigh and basically made contact with something else on the way. on the way out. And she put it aside. It was dark. And next morning she sees a stain on the cloth. Question, where did it come from? From the source, from Dam Nida? Perhaps there was some sort of wound, scratch on the thigh. And that rubbed off onto the cloth. The next morning, it's light outside. She's coming to check the next day. She discovers a stain on the cloth. We consider her to be definitely Tamei Nida, because it's more likely that in fact this is Dam Nida. To say that there was a scratch on the leg, that's unlikely. So we take the more likely approach. She's really Tamei Nida. Amalei Rav Shimi Bar Chia. So you turn to Rabbi and says, so you're confirming that she's a Nida without any doubt? You're not even considering another option? I recall in the past, you told us at most we have to be concerned. She's maybe Tamei, but not confirmed Tamei. There is a chance that it came from the leg. And he didn't respond. Because the Mepharshim say, because that's in fact what the conclusion was in the Beis HaMedrash. No doubt we consider it to be Tamei. Itmar Nami learned likewise, Shmuel, Tamei Nida, B'chimarin B'met Rasha. Likewise in Beis HaMedrash they ruled, Tamei Nida. We assume it came from the Dam Nida, and we don't entertain any other possibilities. Because it's so vada. There is Dam at the source. Aisha has a chazaka, she sees Dam. To attribute it to the leg, which is an unknown. So in the balance of probabilities, we say it came from Dam Nida, and she's vada Tamei Nida. Here comes a new story. Itmar, we have learned, but suppose this time she used a cloth which was not known to her as being clean. It had been washed in the past, but it was sitting around and it wasn't really looked at, it wasn't really inspected prior to B'dik. So after her examination, she placed it in the box. It was dark, she left it in the box. In the morning, the next day, she discovers a stain on it. So here, to begin with, we have no confirmation that this was a valid B'dika cloth. See, unlike in the previous story where it was an NIDAH Badak, it was a proper cloth, and it was used for an inspection. The question now is whether the dam came from the Yereich. So we ruled that out. But here, we don't even know if we have something to go with, to begin with. Was this really a clean cloth? What do we do? Throughout Rabbi Chia's lifetime, he always went with Tamei. We assume that she's Tamei. Here. But in his older years, he switched. He considered it to be tar. We have to entertain the option that in fact there was a stain on the cloth pre-inspection, and you can't ascertain that she's Tamei. The question is like this. He certainly made a shift. The question is, did he go from earlier considering her to be certainly Tamei, and then he dropped to, well, it's like a suffix, like a kesem, like a stain with Rabbanan, Tamei? Or did he go from 2 to 3? From initially he held that she was just a suffix, and now he said Torah completely. So was it from a drop from 1 to 2 or from 2 to 3? The question was, Hechika Amar. What do you mean to say? Kol Yom of Timim Misham Nida. Earlier, Rabbi Chia considered her to be Tamei Vadai. Level 1. Later on, he switched from Nida and he just considered it to be Safek, Tamei, Oidilma. Or perhaps he went from 2 to 3. Earlier, considered it to be like a stain, like a Safek. But later on, in his older years, he considered Torah completely. Tashmai comes a riot. The Sanya Bodka Beicheni Bodakla. Exactly our story. She used an uninspected cloth. Next morning she found it. Rabbi Yomer, Misham Nida. Rabbi says she's Tamei, for sure. Rashi explains, why would we say she's Tamei for sure? Rashi says, given the Cheskas Damim Sham, we know there is Dam and the Makar. We don't have to entertain the possibility that it was there before. So that's Rabbi's opinion. Tamei. Rabbi Chia Amar Tmei Mishum Kesem. He says, well, she's tummy as though she found a stain. Rashi says, Kaleimar Tuma Safek V'Toilin. It's a Safek. We're not sure. Maybe yeah, maybe not. She's tummy Midrabanan. Tummy Safek. Over Tummy base. Amar Rabbi Chia. So Rabbi Chia turns to Rabbi. You're saying she's tummy Vadai, but even you agree that the stain has to be of a substantial size. It has to be a kigris v'oid, greater than the size of a gris, of a bean, which is really the minimum size for a kesem. So the halacha of gris relates to a stain, which is only the rabbanon. It has to be large enough to rule out the possibility it came from a louse. So that rule was set by a kesem, by the rabbanon. Why in this case do you concede that the stain on the uninspected cloth has to be that large of a size? Well, it's a straight out Torah and Torah. Even a droplet is matamid ishma and Torah. Why do you require a minimum size on the stain? If it's not only tamid the rabbanon, like my position is. Amar Loi, Rabbi Chia. Yatam, would you agree? Shetzrich a gris v'oid? It has to be kigris v'oid bigger than a kigris. Amar Loi, so Rabbi says, yeah, aval. True, right on, correct. Amar Loi says, okay, that proves. Amar Loi Mkain proves that you're also atos is a kesem. You're also considering it merely a stain, which has that minimum threshold, that minimum size. Because if it weren't so, why does it have to have a minimum size? For Rabbi Savar, and Rabbi holds like this. Really, ultimately, it's considered tamei min haTorah. The reason why it has to be large enough is because the fact is it was an uninspected cloth. So yeah, it could have gotten stained by a louse. And once we rule that out, it's larger than the stain that a louse would leave behind. Once you rule out that possibility, we default to the natural, which is that it came from the Isha and it's dam NIDAH. The reason why we need a large stain is to rule out the ma'achelas option. But once that's off the table, once you rule out that it came from ma'achelas, now that she did an inspection with this cloth, we can assume with certainty, we can conclude that it came from her guf. So basically, we have to deal with three possibilities. That it came from her guf, which makes her a NIDAH, maybe. But that can only be confirmed after you rule out the other possibility, which is a likely possibility, that it came from ma'achelas. It's too big for ma'achelas, that's off the table. Now, to entertain yet a third option, that perhaps it came from a random source, an unknown source, that's really unlikely. So that's not even a consideration. Holds Rebbe. But Rabbi Chia holds, no. We have to entertain the option that perhaps it came from a third source as well. So at most, you can say it's tamei like a stain, midrabanan, but not more than that. In any case, we have a discussion between Rebbe and Rabbi Chia. Rebbe says it's tamei like a regular NIDAH. Rabbi Chia says it's only a kesem. Now, from their interaction, it would seem like Rabbi Chia was already older at this point. Rabbi Chia, right? He told, wouldn't you agree? The way he spoke with him, and also the fact that he was arguing with him. Rebbe was really his Rebbe, so apparently he was already advanced in age. Rabbi Chia was. My love, let's assume he's a knusa. This is in his advanced age. So here, Rabbi Chia dropped down a notch and says it's only a kesem. So apparently in his youth, consider her level 1, a NIDAH vada, ishmamina, that confirms the sequence of events. Okay, so again we had a cloth which was not pre-inspected, which experienced a bedika, which showed dam. What happens now? We have an opinion which says tamei NIDAH vada. Rabbi Chia, who initially held that way, but then switched over to just merely a kesem, it's tamei midrabanan misafek. Here comes another story on the same topic. Mishtabeach le Rebbe. So Rebbe would praise to whom? Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi would praise to him about another chacham. Rabbi Chama bar Bissa. he would tell him about Rabbi Chama Brisa, that he's a great man, the Adam Gadol. Amar Lois Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi says, okay, next time he's around, could you please bring him over? I want to have a discussion with him. Next time he comes to you, bring him to me. Next time he came. Amar Lois Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi tells his guest, Rabbi Chama, you have anything to ask? Please ask him something. I asked him, how a story? She used a non-inspected cloth for B'dika. She put it away. Next day, she found a stain. What's the status? He says like this. I can give you my father's opinion. I can give you Rebbe's opinion. Which one would you want? Kedever Abba? Should I tell you my father, Rabbi Yosef's opinion? Or Kedever Rebbe? Or Rebbe's opinion? Amalei says, Kedever Rebbe. I want to hear Rebbe's opinion. Emily. Rabbi Shmuel was taken aback. He says, so you would forego my father's opinion? Who was the Rebbe of Rebbe? This is the man that they consider a great man. Why would he forego the opinion of the Rebbe, who was the Rebbe, Rabbi Yossi was the Rebbe of Rebbe? And go with the Talmud's opinion. So why did Rav Chama choose to hear the opinion of Rebbe over Rabbi Yossi? The answer is Rav Chama Bisa, Savar, he held Rebbe Reish Mesiftahu. Rebbe was a Reish HaYeshiva, surrounded by Talmidim. And he was compelled to delve deeper and deeper, and he arrived at a greater level of clarity and understanding because of his Talmidim, because of his students. It was spurred him on. And the Chacham were present with him. And therefore his learning is sharp and deep. And that's why he would rely on that over the other sheet. Okay, so where are these opinions? My Rebbe, my Rabbi Yossi. Where do you have these two positions? Amar Vada B'Masna Tana Rebbe Metam and Beisi Metam. We have a brisa that in this case Rebbe says completely Tameh, Rabbi Yossi says Tar. Oh, now comes a third opinion. Rabbi Yossi says Tar completely. We didn't have this yet. We have NIDAH, we have Kesem, Tar completely. Let me explain to you the background. When Rebbe says that the stain on this uninspected cloth considers her tummy, it's like Rebbe Meir's shita. Even though there's an element of uncertainty, we assume it came from the makar, she's tummy completely. Rabbi Yossi, lots matir. And likewise, when Rabbi Yossi considered her Torah completely, that's in line with his own position that he applied to Hara in a similar case of uncertainty. This Snami, a Mishnah later on. Of an issue discovers dam, where there's an element of uncertainty as to the source of the dam. An issue discovered dam also tending to her waters, tending to her needs. The question is, where did it come from? Did it come from the source, from the womb, from the dam NIDAH, or is there some sort of scratch, some sort of wound in the meraglaim tract, which wouldn't make her tummy? Rameir says it depends in what position she is charging the waters. Rameir, if she's in a standing position, in which case there's intense pressure of the meraglaim and back up and bring down dam NIDAH from the uterus. But if she's in a sitting position, in that case, the Rashi says the dam does not come out together with meraglaim. Different channel, different system. So in this case, she's discharging it naturally, easily, and we assume that the dam and the meraglaim came from the meraglaim tract, from a makkah, from a wound, and it's unrelated to dam NIDAH. Rabbi Yossi, either way, whether she's standing or sitting, either way, there's an element of uncertainty, and we could just assume that it was sourced in the meraglaim area, and she's tar. Okay, so we see from here that when there's an element of uncertainty, even if you have dam, which can be attributed to the makar, Rabbi Yossi says completely tar, Rameir says completely tamei, and Rabbi took Rameir's position. Amalei Rav Acha b'Rav Ravashi. Rabbi Yossi Rechanina, but he explained to us, he explained that even Rav Meir only considered a kesem, the Rabban, it's a suffix. He didn't say it was confirmed NIDAH. You're comparing Rebbe by the unexpected cloth, where he says it's a Bade NIDAH. How could you compare the two? Amalis, he says, actually, our version of Rabbi Rechanina was that in fact he learned that Reb Meir was Matame with certainty. And in fact, Rebbe is on that track as well. So in conclusion, when there was a Bedika done, what Dam discovered, she's Tamei Vadai. The question is, going forward or going back? So if let's say they were together immediately beforehand, so if it's right away, we assume they were Tamei when they were together as well. If it's a bit later, or even later than that, then you can't attribute it to them being together. She's Tamei going forward. And regarding Tamei, the previous, previous experience, it depends how close. If it was just a little while later, like we call it zone 2, then they're both Tamei Misafek. If it's further than that, zone 3, then they're not Tamei. It's only Midrabanan, Meis Leis, Tamei Midrabanan Misafek regarding Truma V'Kach. Now this is all if the cloth had been cleaned and confirmed and inspected beforehand. Well, let's say there was an uninspected cloth that was used for the bedika. So we have 3 opinions: Tamei Vadai, Toher Vadai, or Tamei Misafek. Okay, back to the standard case where it was a pre-inspected cloth and she discovered Dam. Oisyam means that Shalom Oisyam, Tmeim Misafek. Tmeim, so they're both Tamei because it confirms that they were Tamei together as well. So what's Oisyam? The Rabban Ezel Shir vest. Vest over here means miyad, immediately. What's considered in the same time zone has to be immediately after the act. Mashal Shamash Veid. A mashal to a sham, that's the male aver, Veid, and the cloth. She'aynu tzadam mashkib, standing right at the side of the doorway, the opening. It's a shamash, as the shamash leaves, the aid goes in, so it's at an end. So in order to achieve that, Have, Vest Shamru, so the vest that we're talking about, the immediacy element, could only have taken place Likinuach if there was an external wipe. If she's going and doing a real internal badika, that takes too long to be considered vest, to be considered Aisya. And it's too far removed from them being together, and therefore cannot implicate them as being Tamei and having sin Misafek. Now let's say she discovered on her cloth after a bit of time has passed. Okay, so now it could have come later, so it's a suffix. They're both Tamei Misafek. And the Mishnah mentions no reference to an Asham Tali, but the Brisa does. Tana. V'chayav an Asham Tali, to bring Asham Tali, as per a person who may have sinned, a severe sin of kares. So instead of Achata, it's Asham Tali. Tana did on my timer. Question is, why did our Mishnah delete any mention of Asham Tali? The answer is he holds Be'ina Chaticha Mishtei Chatichas. The whole discussion back in Huriyas, Mesachas Huriyas, that according to some opinions, it needs to be one of 2 pieces, meaning there were 2 pieces in front of him. One was forbidden fats, one was permissible fats. He ate one of the 2. So since in this equation we have an established Isser, we just don't know which one it was, that triggers an Asham Tali. But if it's just one piece sitting on a table and he ate it, it may have been this, may have been that, there's no Asham Tali in that case. Some explain that it's based on the pasuk, mitzvahs, plural. I have to have 2 options in front of you. So here it doesn't apply because there's no 2 options. It was one woman, one man. It was one experience. We just don't know the status of which. That's why our Tana holds his no Asham Tali, but the Brisa holds even in this case, which is just a single element of suffix, there's no Asham Tali. Ezeu achar zman v'chu. Okay, so what's considered achar zman, which means time frame number 2. Okay, let's just organize it. We have oisyaim, another word is vest, another word is miyad. That's, like we said, in and out, right? Past that point, it's called achar zman, time zone number 2, which is a suffix, Asham Tali. And then comes past that point, time zone number 3, it's unrelated, it's detached from the act of being together. So although she's Tamei going forward, but not retroactive to the being together. Tamei going forward, and of course there's Meis Leis, standard procedure of Meis Leis for the previous 24 hours regarding Truma V'Kach. Does that affect her husband? No. As Machlekes, Rekiva says, yeah. Chacham say no. How does the Mishnah define time zone number 2? Time it takes to leave the bed, do the badika. But I mean, we have a Kash from a Brisa which presents a different description of that time zone. Ezeu achar zman was considered Time zone number 2. Pirush Rabbi Elazar of Tzaddik. Time it takes for it to reach under the pillow or the mattress, till 8, grab the cloth, to the do bedika. Which to us seems to be a shorter time frame than leaving the bed. So how does this work with our Mishnah? Amar Chizda. You're right. My achar. When the Mishnah says achar zman, time it takes to leave the bed, etc., that's going on time zone number 3. That's achar. That's after the achar, after time zone number 2. It's time zone number 3. So time zone number 1 is immediately. Number 2 is to reach over to grab the thing and do it. Time zone number 3 is to leave the bed, etc. How could you say that? Well, we have a brisa which explains on the Mishnah. If she discovers a stain on hers, la'achar zman, tmei mesafik, tumna korban, so the tamei mesafik, the part from korban, ezo achar zman, what's considered achar zman, meaning time zone number 2, not time zone number 3, time number 2, time it takes to leave the bed and do a bedikit, ishter namitav, t'dich panel. Says Machikama, the brisa means like this, ezo achar zman, what's considered time zone number 2, time it takes to reach over, grab the cloth, etc. What's time zone number 3? Time it takes to leave the bed and do a bedika. That is time zone number 3. And that's only going to be time her going forward. And there we apply the standard meis leis for the previous 24 hours. Does that affect her husband? That's a machlaikas. Rabbi Kiva says, yeah. Chacham say no. Says the Gemara, V'chakaktani. If you look back at the Mishnah, the words don't seem to jive. The Mishnah says, time zone number 1, Oisayim, confirmed at the tummy. Achar zman, which is to leave the bed, etc. Then there are tummy misafik. What's achar zman? Right, to leave the bed. Then it says v'achar kach. Then if it happened later, sounds like now we're going to zone number 3. Then there's meis lei, but leaving the bed is zone number 2, not considered zone number 3 as you're telling me. No. It is zone number 3. The Mishnah means this description, this leaving the bed, this zone number 3 is achar kach. This is the achar kach. This is zone number 3. Which is subject to machlekes. Okay, so according to Rav Chizda's approach, the 3 time zones are very clear. We have Oisiyim immediately after. We have the next stage, which is time it takes to reach over to grab the cloth from under the pillow and do a bedika. That's time zone number 2. Whereas the Tomei Misafik, perhaps Hashem Talui, that affects the husband as well. Past that point is time zone number 3, time it takes to leave the bed. That's unrelated to them being together, it's too far gone. The tumah going forward, this meis leis going back, husband is machlekes. Rav Ashi Yomar, no, it's all one and the same. Reaching over for the cloth or leaving the bed is really the same thing. It depends. What needs to be done? Eid biyada. She has the cloth in her hand. So that's she doesn't have to reach over, so then time takes to leave the bed and do the bedika. That's the 10-second, the 15-second duration. Let's say she does not have the cloth in her hand. In that case, we measure it like this. Time takes to reach over under the pillow of the mattress. Reach for the cloth and do bedika. So this is equivalent. It takes the same amount of time to do this as to leave the bed with a cloth in hand and do bedika. So either or, there's no stira. You thought there was a contradiction between the Mishnah, leaving the bed, and the Brisa, which speaks about reaching over on the bed. It's all the same thing. If you have the cloth in your hand, time takes to leave the bed, do bedika. If you have no cloth, time takes to reach over under the pillow, on the bed, and do the bedika. Meis becomes a kash. Brisa says, Ezo achar zman. What's considered achar zman? Oh, it's an old question. Dober zeh shol Reb Lezer, Reb Tzadok ben Chachamim be'usha. Reb Tzadok asked the Chachamim in Usha, and they didn't respond. He says, maybe the reason why you don't know is because, turn to the next Talmud. Shema K'Rakiva atem oimrim. Shema Tamas Boyla. Maybe hold like Rabbi Akiva, but even if it's already passed, it's already time zone number 3, the husband would be affected anyway. So really, time zone number 2, which is a suffix and affects the husband, is the same as has the same halachic ramification as time zone number 3, which is a suffix and affects the husband. So that's why you're not getting involved in differentiating between these 2 time zones. All one and the same thing. Is that true? They said, no, actually, it's not like we adopted Rabbi Akiva's position. No, Lishemana, we just don't know. We haven't heard the shir, exactly how it works. All these different intervals we have, we don't know what time zone number 2 is. She says, okay, if you don't know, I'll tell you. Kach Pershel Cham b'Yavne. And Yavne Cham explained as follows, very clear delineation. Lo Ishasa, if she hadn't waited the amount of time it takes to leave the bed and do bedika, that's considered number 2. That's considered time zone number 2. That's called achar, the oisium. That's time zone number 2. In that case, we find dam. There's a strong suffix that it was there when they were together. They're between misafik, the tamei 7 days misafik, b'tor carbon. They don't have to bring a chatos, but v'chayav nabasham tali. But if it's past that point, which gets you into area number 3, she waited time it takes to leave the bed and do bedika. It's already past. That's already time zone number 3. Certainly if she waited longer than 24 hours of being together, or between inspection to inspection, meaning she had an inspection a while ago and then they were together, and then a while later she found a dam. So basically, in these cases, she's going to be tamei going forward. And Rabbanan, we apply them tumah of meis leis or to the previous pedika, whichever is shorter. What about the husband? Okay, by Allah mitami shumaga. The husband is tamei a very low degree tumah because he touched a NIDAH, so that's a low level tumah. It's a 1-day tumah. Right, just in case, right? It was a suffix. Maybe she was already tamei at the point when they were together. So that's a lighter tumah, but he's not going to have the full-fledged, full-blown 7-day tumah as though he was together with a NIDAH. We don't know that. It's not tamei 7 days as though he was involved, was together with a NIDAH. No, he says that meis leis applies to the husband equally as to the wife, and he's tamei for 7 days as though he was together with a NIDAH. Here comes here a third opinion. The other extreme, Rabbi Yehuda meis leis doesn't affect the husband at all. He's fully tar. He can go to the heichel and bring keteris if he's a kohen. Fine. Interesting. So you have 3 opinions. How far do we go with meis leis? Does it affect the husband at all? Does it affect him somewhat? Affect him all? Fine. Back to our discussion regarding defining the 3 time zones. According to Rav Chizda says that on the bed reaching over to the aid is time zone number 2. Leaving the bed is considered time zone number 3. Well, if it's number 3, Chacham say the husband is off the hook. That explains the Bryce why he's off the hook. Rav Ashi. According to Rav Ashi, who says, well, even leaving the bed doesn't necessarily mean you're too far from being together. If you have the aid in your hand, she had the cloth in her hand, it's a short enough time frame. So even time it takes to leave the bed and do a bedika, it's still considered close enough. It's considered time zone number 2. So the husband should be implicated as well. Perhaps the NIDAH was speaking, she doesn't have the cloth in her hand. So she had to A, leave the bed, 2, reach out for a cloth. That's time zone number 3. In which case the husband's off the hook. Well, the Brisa should have explained that. Hi, Eid biyada. The Brisa should have said, look, it depends if she has the cloth in her hands or not, to make it clear and unambiguous. Otherwise, you can get confused. It's all about leaving the bed. Whether or not she has a cloth isn't correct. It all depends if she has the cloth or not. So it's a kasha. It's a kasha on Ravashi from the Brisa, which seems to say that the amount of time it takes to leave the bed is inevitably longer, even if she has the cloth in hand. And that's like Rav Chizda, who says that time zone number 1 is immediately after being together. The next time zone is while you're on the bed, reach over the cloth, do a bedika. The next time zone, the time it takes to leave the bed, do a bedika. Whether or not the cloth is in your hand. Okay, so that's the conclusion of this discussion. We discussed the bedikas relating to tashmish before and after, which of course only applies to a woman who's involved in taharis and handling truma and kachim, etc. If dam was discovered, it's an indication of tumah. We know it's not attributed to a louse, it's not to be found there, it's not likely, etc. And what about if the bleak cloth wasn't really inspected before bedika? We have 3 shitas, tar, tamei, or just safek. If the dam was discovered after them being together, if it was discovered on his side, that certainly confirms that they were tummy while they were together. They both tummy 7 days with a chatas requirement. If she found it on her side, so it depends. Right away, tummy 7 days, chayav chatas. A bit later, it's tummy safek. Asham tali is machlekes. A bit later, just tummy going forward. And we apply the standard meis leis. And what about the husband's status? 3 shitas. Rabbi Akiva says, as though he's involved with NIDAH, tummy for 7 days. Chacham say, just tummy for 1 day, as though he touched him. The 3rd shita is tar completely. How's that? To be continued as Hashem tomorrow. All the best to you and Atzlacha Rab.